I just went in for my annual checkup with the VA, and I know that there are a lot of strong opinions out there on the VA. I think it's one of those things where there is a lot of room in the truth for more than one thing, but in my case, I'm just very grateful to have healthcare coverage at all. It's not something that I've always had, and I'm just open to the experience every time that I go in. So I go in for my exam, and I'm taken back to the examination room, and they've gone over my labs. There's absolutely nothing wrong with my labs. Everything looks great. They take my blood pressure, and then I'm waiting for the doctor to come in. And my blood pressure was 124 over 84, which is like moderately pre-hypertensive, especially with that diastolic number being in the 80s. But I'm not super worried about it because it doesn't normally read that way. And it's the middle of the day. I've had a couple coffees. I've worked out. I didn't take any time when I got into the room. They just sat down and took it. So I'm not really too worried about it. So the doctor comes in, and she is obese, and she is not a healthy person. And I don't say this to fat shame. I think that there are so many reasons why people stop taking care of themselves, and some of them are socioeconomic factors. Some of them are deeply rooted in trauma that people might have. A lot of these reasons are very, very valid. I think there's too much shame in our population in general, in particular our obese population in America, and I don't think any of that shame is helpful. But that being said, this is an objective video surrounding health, and I think it's really important to be honest surrounding health. Being obese is not healthy, and I don't think we need to pretend anymore that it is. We do not pretend that smoking is good for us anymore, or that it's okay if you're trying to be a healthy person. And to say otherwise is ridiculous, and I think the same thing can be said about being obese, regardless of the factors that surround it. So I'll just leave it at that. My doctor is very pale white skin because she most likely spends a lot of time inside, doesn't get a lot of sunlight, and she is an obese person. And she's very concerned about my blood pressure. And that's okay, like that's her job to be concerned about it. But she starts asking me about if I take any over-the-counter supplements. And so I'm like, yeah, of course. And so I'm polite at first. And she asked me very in-depth about all of my supplements. And so I'm like, I take a multivitamin. It's a veggie capsules. I don't think I get exactly the right blend of vegetables in my day that I normally do. So I take that. I take beetroot extract because I noticed a marked improvement in my blood pressure going down when I started taking it. So I've continued to take that. I forgot to tell her that I take bee pollen, and that would have been kind of funny because I don't really have like a real reason for taking that. I don't take like local bee pollen, which would help me with my allergies. I just kind of like intuitively take bee pollen, so it would have been kind of funny to see what she said about that. And then I mentioned that I take magnesium, glycinate, and citrate, and she kind of like, well, why do you take magnesium? And I'm kind of like, okay, well, back when I was wearing, wearables, I used to wear a Whoop, and I was tracking my heart rate variability. And when I started taking magnesium at night, I noticed my HRV scores were going up. And so that was a positive correlation for health for me. And so I continued to take the magnesium. And that's just one reason, right? There's many reasons to take magnesium for us. And that seemed to be like good enough for her. Okay. And then I said, I take fish oil. And she really looked at me like I had something sticking out of my forehead. And she was like, fish oil? Like, why do you take fish oil? And I'm just like, to myself, I'm like, this is insane, right? Like, I mean, heart health, joint health, eye health, brain health. I mean, fish oil has been studied so much, and I started explaining those things to her. And I'm like, man, what would have happened if I told her that I take, creatine and protein and amino acids and that I intuitively microdose psilocybin? I think her brain might have exploded. But she kind of accepts everything that I tell her and just kind of nonchalantly like, okay, And she explains to me that like in the future I might need to go on medicine for blood pressure. And mind you, my reading was 124 over 84 in the middle of the day. I took it the next day and my reading was 124 over 77, which is a completely normal, healthy blood pressure reading. I'm 240 pounds. I sit at like 10 to 12% body fat probably, and I'm a pretty healthy individual. And so I'm not necessarily worried about that. And I started off, polite in this conversation. I kind of moved through it, got a little combative with her when she started really hammering me on some of my supplement intakes. And that was partially because I felt like I was a much healthier individual than this person. But I just kind of ended up a little bit sad about the state of healthcare for our veterans and also for broader society in general. The impact that these trusted physicians have on people that do not have the same type of education that I've been so lucky to get is huge. And in their eyes, a lot of their eyes, the only option is medication. And this is a glaring difference between healthcare, that you are taking care of your health every single day, and sick care, the type of care that our health system provides for people. This is just, it's really sad, and it's really profound what kind of impact the doctors can have on people. And it just makes me think twice about any time that anyone is going into the doctor and they hear something like that. Oh, I might have to get on medication. The second and third and fourth order effects and consequences that might have for that individual are huge. That might cause them to stress out, which could increase their blood pressure, and it might cause them to seek other things and change up their routines and do all these things. And it's like, no, it's not necessary, man. Like, just focus on being a healthy person. And so if you're looking for a starting place, don't start with supplements. Like, even though I listed the ones that I take, don't start there. If you must, though, consult with whoever you need to, including your doctor or your physician or your nutritionist or your dietitian, and just know that fish oil is probably the most universal supplement that Americans should be taking. It's good for everything, and that's the one that she had the most problem with. But instead of starting with supplements, start with going outside every single day and getting some sun. If you don't live in a place, I used to live in Washington State. We went 100 days without direct sunlight because of the cloud cover there. It was brutal. Then get a UV lamp and replace some of that light that you're missing out on. Move your body, new and robust ways. Find what works for you. There is no wrong way to do it other than not doing it at all. So if you like running, go running. If you like walking, go walking. You like climbing, go climb. You like lifting weights, lift weights. Obviously, there are things that you can do that are optimal, but if you're just kind of starting out and you're looking for better ways to take care of yourself, just explore and find what works for you. Cultivate time where you're unplugged from your phone and you're alone with your thoughts. This can be meditation, prayer, breath work. It could be walking the dogs, anything that works for you. Just leave your phone alone. Put it face down, up on a cabinet, like up on the highest shelf somewhere, and get away from it for a while. The effects that the phones are having on our lives are so pervasive, and they're just being started to study right now. Drink a gallon of water a day. Yes, a gallon. And if you're having trouble with that, just fill up a milk jug gallon with water and draw hashtags that correspond with the time of the day. So at halfway through the day, you should be at noon, right? And you drank half your water and so on. It's actually easier than you think to start getting in that habit. It just feels like a lot at the beginning. And then aim for 8 hours of sleep a night. If you aim for 8, then you're probably going to get 7. And 7 is, what I've found to be the optimal number. Those studies suggest that if you can get 8, definitely get 8. And if you have questions about this stuff or you need help, just ask. So with gratitude and curiosity, that's all for now. Cheers.